playing TSM is always a treat. You know, it's a really exciting match.
Cloud9, this time off the backs of contracts with the insane early game on Lee Sin, 2-0 over TSM.
I think C9 had a really good kind of read on us and the way they played the game. They prepared better than us and they played better than us, so overall that's why the series was so one-sided.
To the back line, Pearson's got to be careful on this one. Pops the ulti, a double for Jensen, redemption, now it's 3 for him. Impact still alive in the front line.
They had our numbers last time, but I think we improved a lot.
Final Frost and Ferguson on the side.
Ulti hits him with the cryptic gaze on the back, and it still does a huge amount of damage. TSM has been waiting for this fight.
And this time we should be able to beat them.
We can definitely win against TSM again.
Summer Split last year, we were the team to beat. At this moment, C9 is that team that everyone wants to beat.
Welcome to the North American League Championship Series. We're escaping the rain here in our Los Angeles studios, California, as it really does pour down. But hey, good excuse to watch some League of Legends. You can see the fans here have come out in droves, ready to support their favorite teams. Dignitas, earlier today, making their way towards the stage. CLG as well, looking to craft a late season push here, late split push to get back to the top of the rankings. Of course, Immortals and Team Liquid Reignover getting ready on stage as we speak. Golden Glue as well. This team has had a tumultuous start to their season. We'll see if they can get a victory here today. Hello, everyone. I'm James Patterson. It's my pleasure to welcome to the analyst desk Mark Zimmerman and William Scarley. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
It's been a long time since I've been here.
It has.
It feels like it's a brand new gig, you know?
I'm really a good gig? A good gig?
Oh, yeah, great
Okay,
gig.
good. That's what I want to hear.
I'm obviously excited a little bit because Scar is here, but I'm also a little sad because if people haven't heard, the OMG Scoots emote is dead. You can't do it in Twitch chat anymore. And with it, Azael's career and meme has kind of died as well. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to take a moment of silence to remember both.
I will honor that request. So a moment of silence for the dearly departed. The meme is dead. Long live the meme. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and push forward and look at the standings and how the teams come into the weekend. Cloud9 comes into the day in first as TSM follow them behind in second place. FlyQuest dropped to third last night as Phoenix One trails behind in fourth. With Team Dignitas starting to climb from the bottom at 8th. We'll see if they and the other teams can continue to rise in the rankings with our games today. Starting with Cobelter and Immortals taking on his former teammates on CLG. Then Cloud9 clash against TSM on NALCS1. Over on NALCS 2, Team Liquid hope to stop a resurgent Team Dignitas in the battle theater, with Envy going against Echo Fox shortly after that. Now, yesterday, the new patch, we already saw things changing up for the teams in that pick ban phase, particularly red side bans, most interesting as we're not seeing the same 3 come across every single game.
Right, the patch was very nerf focused, and of course you're going to target the most OP things, which is generally Rengar, LeBlanc, Camille is what we've been seeing banned on the red side every single time. And now with these nerfs, it doesn't seem like that's quite the necessity anymore, and it might influence how teams are drafting.
I think right at the moment, everyone's kind of got comfortable with how it looked before the patch. And so a lot of counter picks are coming up, especially in like the top and jungle areas. So top lane, you see Gameplank from yesterday. You'll see
we
other...
have Vladimir.
Yeah, Vladimir against Shen. I think it's really interesting that you'll have picks like these. You'll see top lane Jace being flexed to mid lane. And jungle, like Ivern may be king, but you'll see a lot of other champions. Like you saw Warwick from Immortals a couple weeks ago. And I think that it looks really interesting right now.
And the thing, too, is the fact that with the nerfs to the OPs and other teams not needing to ban them, it might hurt teams who previously were really good at exploiting the kind of OPs and making people into these like difficult situations, FlyQuest being the prime example, and they struggled yesterday. It might be something they need to worry about.
Well, you also run into teams now, scrambling to, rediscover their identity, right? And that might be the case there with FlyQuest. They had a winning formula. For whatever reason, they decided to kind of depart from that winning formula last night, crafted 2 interesting team comps to say the least, but didn't find success with them.
And I mean, Hyatt always played Jarvan as a counter to Zed. It was something he did a lot in scrims all the time. It was very frustrating to play against, but I don't know if he was out of practice or it just didn't quite come together this series, but it did not look terribly effective against Dignitas. You were able to clean them up.
And while FlyQuest sustained that loss, Dignitas picks up the win. So this team bringing in Coach Kopp now here gets their first win with him behind the squad. Scar, what are your thoughts here on the resurgent Dignitas? I put air quotes because it's only one game or one match. Let's see how they do the rest of the weekend.
I'm just saying, Cop only worked with them for 1 day, and he can't have done that much, but they look like a little bit of a better team.
What do you mean? That wasn't...
I think if anything, it's like, look at what Cop can do in one day.
Oh my goodness!
Give this man, no.
The one thing, I just think it was a really, really good stylistic matchup for Dignitas. So FlyQuest is known as one of the most proactive teams in the league, and then Dignitas is known as a team that really struggles to make proactive plays. But against FlyQuest, they don't need to. They let FlyQuest make the play, and they counter the play with their own. And so it's really, really strange. I don't think that Dignitas would stack up better against any of the other top teams. So FlyQuest had like maybe a bad day. Moon didn't play as well as he normally did. And then Dig was able to take advantage of it.
Let me ask you this. Had FlyQuest drafted a more standard team composition, as you referenced, we kind of had gotten used to a certain meta or type of team composition build. Had they drafted more normally, do you think that they would have beaten Dignitas?
I think I'm pretty sure they would have. Probably like 80% plus they would have. However, I can't say it's bad for FlyQuest to try stuff on stage because the only way their team is going to get better is by trying this stuff. And what they're known for is being able to be like impervious to patch changes because they play so many different things. I like the fact that they're trying stuff on stage. Sure, it didn't work out yesterday. Props to Dignitas for taking advantage of it. And to be honest, props to FlyQuest for trying it out.
And they might still be the first ones to figure out what works on the new patch, and that's part of that kind of discovery phase. Now, for Team Dignitas, we're going to have to see if they can keep their momentum going today against Team Liquid. That's a big win yesterday against the number 2 in FlyQuest. Here you go against Team Liquid. I'd say you're now expected to win this match.
Right. I mean, Team Liquid's clearly been struggling all season long. They haven't had any kind of consistency where as soon as one member steps up, the other one struggles, and it's going to be a good test for them in the sense where you had a good upset win versus a top team. Now you need to beat teams that you're expected to beat in a sense, or you need to beat. So I think that's a good matchup for them today.
Yeah, another big matchup is, of course, that C9 TSM matchup coming later in the day. We've got our undefeated C9 in second place TSM. Do you think this TSM roster has what it takes to take down C9, put an end to their reign or their run here?
Look, the only thing I want to see from TSM is just consistency. Right now, they're considered a top team, but they really, really lack proactive play. What I want to see is Bjergsen and Sven working better together as a ball to be able to get stuff happening in the early mid-game. Similar to how like Katie and Froggen do right now in Echo Fox, that's what I'm missing from TSM that they used to do last year. If they're able to shore that up on champions that I think they've only been able to do that like kind of well when Sven's on Ivern, but if they're able to do that consistently on all champions across the board, that's when TSM is going to elevate themselves to be like a good team, a great team.
And I think it's really important to do it against C9 because a lot of the time it's Jensen kind of getting these leads and then Contracts playing around him. So this is a great team to finally start playing more proactively around your mid jungle because C9 are kind of the team that's how they win as well. So if you're able to get ahead of them in that way, you are in a great position to win the series.
Oh, there we go. A few thoughts on the series that we have in store for us today. The teams are about ready to load up, so it's time to send it over to the casters to get the games underway.
Thank you very much, Dash. Hello, everyone. I am Riving DeBiz III, and co-captaining this desk with me, as you saw before, is Isaiah Cummings Bentley.
What up? Thanks, guys, on the desk.
Are you still going to live on? Are we going to be okay? Is it going to be all right? Is everything going to be all right?
Okay. It's always my time to shine. Don't you worry.
We start off today with a match between Counterlogic Gaming and Immortals. Once again, thank you for joining us. It's going to be a good one after their first 2-0 last week. Immortals are looking to keep that momentum going against Counterlogic Gaming, no doubt.
Yeah, Immortals looked a lot better last week. They improved with team play. Their individual play also saw a lot of improvements. Flame finally feeling like he's working with the team. The Immortals bot lane looking really good for the first time this season. And Popelter had his best week of the split by far, which was a much-needed morale boost for the in-game leader, as Popelter had been having a really tough time this year.
In general, the mentality they've been trying to kind of kick out and bring in a new one, fresh start for themselves, that is definitely going to help. While CLG's performance in Week 4 as a whole didn't look as stellar, their previous series against Phoenix 1 showed that certain players are capable of stepping up, though.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't fixed all their problems, but Darshan, for one, has looked a lot better. He's been looking solid on the tanks. He crushed on Gangplank, even after getting 4 or 5 bans, whatever, thrown at him across both teams.
And he almost felt unsure about it, too. He's like, maybe, kind of, yeah.
And then he smashed. He looked great. Yeah, exactly. So who he has been saying that they have been focusing too hard on what the other teams are trying to do and not hard enough on what they are trying to do, what their style is. And, for example, Aframu has looked better on initiators like Thresh. So even if that is not the meta, even if that's not the way that other teams are playing, maybe it's what CLG should do.
It's obviously all of our notes here, but one of my special ones coming in. Love to see the initiators. They were talking about how they need to find that identity again. It's Week 5. Let's see if they can start. Let's check out the starting lineups. On the blue side, it is Counterlogic Gaming. That means it's going to be Darshan coming in the top lane. Smithy roaming around in the jungle. Kuhi in mid. Stixate at bot lane, and Aframu as his support just behind him with Coach Zix on stage.
And their opponents today on the red side are going to be Immortals. In the top lane, Flame. In the jungle, Dardoch. In the mid lane, Poe Belter. Bot lane, Cody's son. Support Ole with Coach Hermes here to help out with the draft.
So looking at, obviously, Darshan playing a bit of strength in the top lane. We've been saying, where's the Darshan that just wreaks havoc on a game, split pushes, and doesn't join the team all too often? I think we need to see that come back once again. And well, Maokai still works. We've heard it be called the Tree of Life for him, obviously.
I love that.
But to come back for power for him, go back. We even saw in different leagues that Triforces are all across the board, which really fits into a CLG-style composition. Win early, control the game, win lanes, and just go at it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of options for Darshan. In the top lane, we saw success on Gangplank. I think even things like Trundle haven't been being played as much, but are still strong. There's the Fiora. Maybe Camille's going to get through more pick and bans because she took some nerfs, so that could be something that could work for Darshan. He loves to split push, but he also is someone who likes to get his roam on, who likes to take his advantage and extend it to other lanes. Camille certainly has the playmaking ability to do that. And here we go. Red side bans already changed up, Rib.
Remember,
that's not a Rengar, that's not a Camille, and that's not a
not
LeBlanc.
No, it's not. Could be wearing a cloak. I don't see. No, but it's Ferris. But we do see the Camille continuously going from the side of CLG, as Darshan just may not feel comfortable about that, as well as the composition has to be built around it that works as well.
And it's also something where generally blue side bans have looked this way, where it's like, if you're not willing to first pick it, you ban it, right? Because you don't want to give something over like that in the first rotation to your opponents.
For sure.
So if you don't want to first pick that Camille, it's not going to get back to you again. Flame or someone is going to take it pretty much for sure. But a lot of changes already. You know, neither of the OP3 have been in here, and now it's CLG's turn. They kind of have to make a decision. Are they going to ban out one of them? They have decided to do that to try to force perhaps a Rengar ban. If Immortals do not want to ban out the Rengar, CLG has the option to first pick it. But that said, Xmithie has not looked good on Rengar whatsoever. So I was a little surprised to see them ban out the LeBlanc instead of something like the Rengar and force their opponents to do it for them.
Very true. Having that can sometimes be a decider. The Rengar has a bit more of a identifier when you're about to get zeroed out. LeBlanc's just over the wall, so they don't want that power in the game, but they do take the Rengar still.
What will do, right? You know, had CLG banned out Rengar, you know, they probably could have forced a LeBlanc ban from Immortals because they might not want to give that over. But obviously CLG is comfortable with this, and we may see an improved Xmithie on that Rengar. You know, he was comfortable to lock it in. He played it a couple times last week, didn't look great, but maybe getting more practice time in on it. It's certainly something you have to get comfortable with, and it has a lot less safety in 7.3 because you do not get the CC immunity on your power W. It breaks crowd control, but you can get slowed up, stunned right after there. It's harder to get out.
Nice little change there. Quality of life for, I'd say, everybody else but junglers.
For the opponents who are getting one shot. At least you know he's going to die after he one-shots.
Beautiful change. A lot of power picked up here in Rumble and Jhin on the side of Immortals. So top pick there for Flame as well as for Cody's son and any 80 in the bot. And we'll see Jace getting locked in here. It can be flexed. We've seen it go back and forth, usually to that mid lane.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize that it's just working better in mid lane, at least in North America. There has not been much top lane Jace success, but it has been looking a lot better for the teams coming out of mid. Obviously, this is a flex pick. Rumble, you could even say, is one as well. It's possible for it to jungle. We have seen that in EU a fair bit. Not really expecting that from Dardoch whatsoever, but it's something you still have to keep at least in mind. Then this is another one, even Nautilus. These are all potential flexes, right? Nautilus, most people are going to be thinking Nautilus top, Jace mid. That's obviously the standard there. But Nautilus can still go support. You have seen that in professional play, and you can make flexes if that is something that you need to do.
It actually what first kind of triggered in my head because of the hooks, the initiation, something Aframu can still get himself in on and have a powerful support lane to assist Stixxay. And Graves is picked up on the other side for Dardoch. Something we actually saw Smithy tending to in past splits.
I mean, Graves is
going to that Rengar
right now. Like, he is getting so popular in high elo solo queue as well as competitive play now. He was already a very strong early jungler because he takes almost no damage. Pretty much no matter what camp he does, you can knock back the monsters, you can kite them out very, very easily, and the lethality builds are very strong on him. So a lot of flexibility for Graves to do what he wants.
Lethality strong? No. No.
Haven't heard that one before.
Stop it. Second ban phase. Saw Sivir Zed actually on the side of Chronologic Gaming, as we got a little bit of Zed yesterday from Dignitas. and the Malzahar ban. So what are we looking for the side of Chronologic Gaming?
Probably going to be an Ashe coming through for CLG unless they want to go another route. It's interesting that Immortals are not worried about the Ashe because that had traditionally been considered, one of the OP3 AD carries. Instead, they do ban out Sivir, which had been gaining some priority in professional play. 6A in particular has been playing it more. People like it against the Jhin because you have such a heavy push advantage. You can negate a lot of the laning power from the Jhin just simply by shoving him in. That's not going to be on the table here, though.
So this, unless it's an AD carry, kind of not going to tell you too much of where things are going in this one. The last pick was going to Karma picked up for Ole.
Yeah, so Immortals going to be saving their mid lane pick for last to be able to kind of get that counter matchup. We are going to get the draft rounded out here for CLG. It should be a support and an AD carry, you would think, unless they want to do a strange flex here with that Nautilus. But Ashe is the expected pick. Still very strong. Hasn't been changed to 7.3. Not considered on the tier of some of the lethality AD carries, but still very solid, and you know what you're getting from it.
Some big arrows. Hopefully they hit. Say Ashe arrows are actually pretty on point this year from most AD carries and bot laners. Oh, the Soraka lock-in. All right.
Back.
Soraka is back. And that is going to be a Nautilus in the top lane. Interesting pickup.
Soraka can work quite well in laning phase. A lot of it comes down to where the poke goes from the Karma, right? If the Karma is able to hit the Soraka with her Qs and harass the Soraka out, attack the Soraka's health, that becomes a much tougher lane for CLG. Whereas if the Karma is only able to hit the Ashe and the Ashe is trading back into them, then the Soraka can spend her health to heal that Ashe back up, and it generally becomes a health positive trade for CLG. So that's really what they are looking for. It is likely going to be the Jace mid, the Nautilus top, Orianna locked in. A lot of AP damage in the solo lanes from Immortals, but they have double AD carry as well. This is a very squishy composition, but they have the speed ups from the Orianna, speed ups from the Karma, so they can kite in, they can kite out. And they have powerful engage when they want to look for it with the Jhin ultimate plus the Rumble ultimate.
Not going to have too much ability power coming in the side of Chronologic Gaming. So easy for Immortals to kind of mitigate on that side. But if CLG gets ahead of the game, the IMT may not be able to scramble fast enough.
And the thing is, generally, all physical compositions are criticized because, hey, they're just going to build so much armor. But who on Immortals is really going to be able to itemize that, right?
That's true.
There's not a lot of tankiness here. You could see Zhonya's coming out and things like that, but it's not something you really have to worry about for CLG. So their composition is not going to kind of get a disadvantage because of that. Both teams have crafted themselves some pretty powerful comps. This is, I believe, the first time we've seen Flame on Rumble so far. I have to get confirmation on that, but he has a pretty good matchup for himself, and Flame, this would be a new type of champion for him. He has played a lot of tanks. He's played Fiora, kind of split push type champions. This is an AP team fight type champion, but it also can really get lane priority and bully some of these tanks out.
Absolutely. We know Flame for being so mechanically kind of advanced in lane, being able to get those few CS leads, make sure the their wave's always pushing, and be the first one out to affect the rest of the game. We'll see if it can be matched. We'll see if they just fight each other in the top lane. That's what we're looking for. We're going to be heading into our first game of the day here. Game 1, Chronologic Gaming versus Immortals. And we are on to the Rift. We'll see what these two teams have for each other. He taking that Jace to mid lane for Pole Belter's Orianna. We talked to him about his stats within the previous week. They've been on the up and up. And we'll see if Pole Belter can kind of keep that consistency in the play as the team tries to come together as a whole here and not just kind of have one star player a game.
Yeah, I mean, they really do need Pobelter to be consistent. And Immortals has been kind of surging. They've been getting better and better, but they need the consistency from Pobelter because although he's had a bad year so far, people are quick to forget the fact that this was most people's #2 mid laner last year. Most people actually had him ranked above Jensen, just below Bjergsen. So he was considered one of the very, very best. And they're looking for him to get back to that form. If he can get to that form, if Flame can be playing well, if Dardoch can be playing well, the top side of the Immortals map is going to look very powerful.
I mean, he offers so much. You see Pole Belter, it could be 5 weeks in, and he's got 10 to 11 unique champions played in that mid lane, and he still continues to do it. Over 5 at least this split already. So he offers so much to the team. Can they start to build compositions around it? And as you say, can he continue consistency with his play? Little hit from Huhi to start things off. Love taps in the mid lane, and we are off and running.
Well, Immortals are actually doing a little cheeky roam. They're going to try to poke out Huhi here. That's actually pretty obnoxious. That's a lot of damage down on Huhi at level 1. They're not really even going to lose anything for this, I don't think, because they should be able to get back to the bot side pretty quickly after that. So that's actually pretty nice play from the Immortals bot lane, giving Pobelter a little bit of an advantage there to start things off. And this is going to be actually the second game for Flame on Rumble so far this split. This is the first Soraka in all of NALCS this year.
A quick ping on that bot lane as they know that he has a ward over. So we're going to see Smithy now share the other side of the jungle. We'll probably be playing top to bottom here for a little bit. We'll see how that affects mid lanes. We've been seeing a lot of Graves. I should say a lot of Graves, but some Graves do level 2s very fast to that mid lane. It seems like Immortals has used the bot lane to kind of add that damage in. Give Dardoch free run here.
Yeah, and the question here becomes, how much do they take away from the opponent's jungle? Sometimes you get nervous, you back out after one camp, where your opponent full clears your side of the jungle, and that's where you can start to get some edges here. And Dardoch is actually moving up towards the top side, so he's just going to get the 2 camps. We'll see if Smithy decides to go for the Gromp as well, or if he's just going to take 2 camps and get out of there himself.
Afromu nicely harassing and zoning out Immortals. Not too much pressure yet. They have a wave to clean up.
Oh, you gotta be careful there, bud.
Did
That's
he?
a lot of damage. He's got flash. He might just be dead.
He went for an all-in thinking the mana would be perfect. Oh, it's gonna be Pobelter. One more shot, the siege minion. So Huhi said, I'm just gonna go back. I'm gonna teleport in. I'll be fine to spend my mana in and out. And no, you weren't.
That was really bad from Huhi. I mean, he hammer forms in there. He wanted to shove the wave, as you said, and then teleport back, but Pobelter had mana. He has the summoners available, and he's gifted an easy first blood. Just brutal from Huhi. I'm not sure what he was thinking.
I mean, you know he doesn't have a kill summoner, but the exhaust is there on support and mid for the Rengar play, and then that just keeps you in range.
Yeah, and Pobelter's going to get out as well. Really nice play from him to capitalize on that, just barely surviving from the cannon. But even if he dies there in a trade, his lane is pushing in, and he would get the first blood gold. So that would still be worth it for him. And in this case, it's just that much better. But that said, farm is heavily in the advantage of CLG. They're actually tied on gold with the kill and first blood going over to Immortals. So definitely some problems arising there. As you can look at the CS in mid lane and bot lane, that is mostly what's making that up. And jungle as well. Smithy's going to have to get out of there, though.
Whoa! Flash hit forward, almost got the catch on the wall, I should say, to the left. But he does find Smithy flash for flash on that engage. 26 to 23. Yeah, as Flame continues to add it, making sure that Flame Spitter doesn't push his lane, but he can do it just outside.
It's interesting as well to see him go for the Ruby Crystal start. Most people do like to start Doran Shield instead. This is going to get him faster towards a Leandries, and Dardoch is behind the CLG bot lane.
So Flare flash.
They're going to try to turn this around. Dardoch has no flash, remember. He may have gone too aggressive. TP has come in.
They hit it. Darshan's in. Darshan, no. Red buff goes to Stixay. Ole's going to be stuck in here. That exhaust and flash are down, but they don't want it. They like the lane advantage and the kill they have received. Dardoch, however, going lane to lane, blowing flashes, cost him his life.
It certainly does. He did not have that flash and didn't respect the possibility of a turnaround there. Smithy will have to hold this turret. Should get out there and do just that, pick up some of this farm and experience, but still, nice TP from Darshan. Commits his resources from top lane to bot lane. It gets them not only a kill, but a red buff on Stixay. And remember, we'd already talked about how far ahead the bot lane already was on farm. He is almost doubling his opponent's CS, has a kill, has a red buff, is going to get first turret, and this is getting disgusting.
Going to get a kill on Ole.
They're going to get another.
Sean staying alive. Shield coming up and the heal. They get the hit on Ole. Very nicely done. Stixay taking aggro of the turret as CLG patiently walk these engages in and out of success. Dardoch just coming back from going down, only here to clear the wave. Oh, let's be careful.
Stixay even got solo gold for the turret there. He's the only one who got the local gold on that first turret. 650 more gold in his pocket. After that, he has 3,200 gold to his opponent's 1,500. He is more than doubling Cody Sun's net worth, and this is just disgusting from CLG. Such good play from Darshan, and even Stixay here holding the turret aggro to the last second to make sure they can pull that off without even giving up one death. And they're out to an astronomical lead in the bot lane, so it's going to be very hard for Immortals bot lane to actually come back into that. you know, when you're this far ahead, it's even dangerous for Dardoch to come down and help them.
Yep.
Because you're in the kind of position where you can just get straight up 2v3'd. I mean, look at the combat power across these 80 carries. It's Zerkagreaves and a BF sword and a dagger to just Swifty boots. He essentially has purchased no combat power whatsoever. It's insane how far behind he is.
Knowing he has to get away now from Stixay. 2-0-1 in that bot lane. Fantastic start for Counter Logic Gaming. Didn't even really need the help of Xmithy down there. Fast TP by Darshan. He has fallen behind in CS on the top side, but picked up quite a bit in the bottom, and it looks like he gets to stay there, so not too much of a switch.
Yeah, they have sent the bot lane to top for CLG, and it's the Erling Haunty guys there for Flame as predicted with that Ruby Crystal. He's able to get that spell pen very quickly, so we'll be able to very fast get to his double spell pen items, and there's a lot of Immortals members around the top side. If CLG gets too far up here, they could get taken down.
They have the safety. They already have Sight Ward onto, or a Sight Stone, I should say, onto Aphromoo. There's no reason they should be able to have a flank here coming in from the side of Immortals. Back off nice and safe. They're going to place some of those wards, and it looks like you may even get an arrow towards Pole Belter in middle. His flash is about 20 to 30 seconds from coming up.
It certainly is. And we also have to track the fact that Smithy is now 6. They're, unfortunately for them, waiting on a ward, but they were looking to try to pick off Flame as he came out to pick up that farm. He's not going to do so, but they will be able to take away this red buff. And that first Rengar ultimate is very important. It's quite a long cooldown at those early levels. You want to start getting your passive stacks, getting that bonus AD, and really get rolling on that champion. So we'll see if Smithy's able to make that first ultimate work, because it's going to be a big one.
Sharing some fruits. Dardoch knowing control of this jungle is imperative. Yeah, I guess to kind of cut out inside.
Yeah, he puts it right in the very corner of the bush, so it actually spots around that corner and does catch that ward. So it's a nice little warding spot there from Dardoch, thinking of the little things instead of kind of just placing it in the center of the bush where he would have missed that ward. Little things like that can make a big difference, can allow those later ganks to pay off, and Smithy is still kind of hunting around here, waiting for his first opening.
Teleport just about up for Darshan. Dardoch kind of kept things quiet after his first fight in the bot lane, also waiting for his flash to come back up. Seems like he's going to relieve some pressure here on the top side ever since the lane swap. We haven't seen much, and that's why. Lots of wards.
Yeah, really good warding by both teams, and CLG is quite a bit ahead, but they do want to extend it, right? You get that kind of 1,500, 1,700 gold lead that you get on your 80 carry super early game. That is massive, but you wait 5-10 minutes, it's not as big of a deal percentage-wise. So they do want to try to push the pace and get things done. And CLG may try to make a rotation elsewhere, go mid lane, look for their first Ash Arrow to try to get a kill and then snowball another turret. They would like to do that, and it looks like they are heading up towards mid side, at least for now, but Afro's going to stay going towards mid, and Stixay looking like he may go right back top.
Almost completely happy. I'd say they are happy, but not completely. They still want to push this lead forward. They can be firing arrows wherever they want, but do not want to catch themselves off guard in a fight. So
yeah,
props to them for staying safe, but how safe can you stay, right? You got this rotation pretty fast. Cody-san and Ale are playing very laid back here in the lane, so you can almost take advantage of that.
What I would like to see CLG do is, yes, there's lots of wards around the sides, but have Smithy come up for a lane gank. Go straight up the lane, shoot the Ash Arrow out, you hit the Ash Arrow.
Yeah.
Rengar comes ulting in. That should be a pretty easy kill if you can connect, and that's something that they really should be looking for. When you're trying to gank from the sides on Rengar, you're more likely to spot out those wards. Lane wards are just not much of a reality at this point in the game, so Smithy should be able to look for that.
I'm going to say there may be a moment of it. They've disjointed the backs of Cody-san and Ole. It doesn't look like anything will come of it too quick. Kuhi easily clearing waves in mid lane now that he has blue buff transfer over to him from Xmithy. So that means everybody is just on the top side of the map, and CLG is trying to sniff out and attack.
Ooh, they may go for the 4-man mid here. They know that a lot of people are topside. They're going to look for a 4-man dive, 5-man even, as Darshan's coming up. So they're going to pressure this turret. If Popelter does not leave, he should die. And if he does leave, they will get the turret. So CLG looking.
Whoa! Afromoo's got that turret aggro. They get out this time, and the minion wave is forward. Flame is here, though. He actually came from the bottom side of the map.
Immortals.
Yeah, CLG takes a little too long, and Immortals reads it very nicely.
Yeah, that was really nice. It does cost him a couple ultimates, so the threat of that return play is there. And look at that damage. Ouch.
Shield's a little late, but we know what you meant. We know
Not
you
the
meant.
thought that counts in League of Legends.
You're just like, oh yeah, I should probably do that now. So now Stixay gets a little bit of free time at the top turret. Smithy will help him, and they finally get Immortals to kind of draw out of the lanes. They may be able to add a little bit more
Top
pressure.
side, Smithy is here. Remember, he still has that ultimate. They could catch Karma as he rotates up. Oh, not gonna quite.
Close. It's a good thought. That would have been the opening they were looking for. Immortals also doing a good job of rotating themselves through the jungle, keeping themselves safe. So let's see, control ward. Darshan, not gonna be the CC. Boop. Just gets out with a hot foot. Fight onto Ale. Or should I say Ole. I'm gonna do it all season. But Darshan easily gets himself out, chooses top side, so they have power in numbers, and Immortals cannot stand tall here. Second turret without being answered here from Counter Logic Gaming as they run the map around IMT.
It's actually a really nice TP from Darshan. Usually in situations like that, people do use TP to get out, but they just TP back to their base or whatever. He actually used his TP for a macro play while escaping from the gank. So it became a bit of a win-win for him there. And he actually should get down to bot lane to pick up most of the minions by the time Flame has actually pushed it in. So Darshan has been looking great. Yes, he is down quite a bit in CS, but both his TPs have gotten turrets, have gotten kills, and honestly, they're well worth it.
And he's really not super relying. He likes the CS, but can still be a beefy tank without as much. Oh! Cobalt are squeezing tight, stays alive. He's going to be able to walk out of that one. Cody's son takes control of the lane. It looks like he's going to get a little help from Ole here, but I don't know who he's done. They have Aframu and Xmithy just behind him. On the hunt is not on. It looks like he's just trying to flex his muscles. Oh my gosh. This is exactly where you want to be as a poke team.
They're looking
to
try to force down another turret. CLG is just pushing to take more and more away. And they are doing a good job of fighting to extend the advantage because they know they need to do so with this kind of composition. And Hui, besides his early blunder, giving away that first kill, he's been on point with his shot class. He's actually up in farm. He has been poking out Immortals, which is allowing CLG to posture aggressively for the turrets.
Like, you know what's here with these shot glasses. Like, just kidding. I was joking. So he gets out. Fog of War is Huhi's friend. We'll see if CLG can keep that Fog of War against Immortals here, because he's just been able to sit on the side and tear them apart.
And that is a really good call, Riv, because a lot of it has been due to the vision that they are fighting so heavily for. So, you know, you're not able to land as many of these shot blasts without the vision control from the team. Afro sweeps out the bush in the blue side jungle of Immortals. That allows Hui to move over there and get some free pot shots down. So it's definitely a team effort, but Hui is deserving of some credit.
Yeah, he's threading the needle on a lot of these, especially just on the outside of the box, making Immortals think twice about their positioning. Back and forth go Stixay and Afro, buddy, but they're not going to be needed at the Dragon. Cloud Drake over to CLG to start things off here, so all objectives in their favor, just not the lanes as much. They've fallen a bit behind in CS. Stixay helps to bring that back up with the power the bot lane had, as we recall that teleport from Darshan in the early game, and that's really how CLG has been able to move the map and continue this pressure with early vision.
The Cloud Dragon is actually pretty nice in particular for Rengar as well. I've found simply because having the extra speed with your ultimate, you need the closing power to be able to actually get in there and use the ultimate, because you get warned from quite far away. So having the extra out of combat move speed can really help you close the gap and get those proper ultimate targets. CLG does need to keep pressing though, keep using those Ashe ultimates, keep looking for their opportunities. You don't want this game to stagnate. You don't want Immortals to be able to just kind of get back in it.
Mid lane sitting on just about 600 HP. It seems like one approach from Chronologic Gaming would take that down. See a bit better as you feed the 80 carry on a silver platter. It looks nice. It's got to be feeling really good too. Your positioning gets better. You don't feel like you need to get in for a certain little shot. It's the smaller things. You always go in, you feel good behind your team.
It is, and one thing that's really big about the lead for Ashe in particular in this matchup is that you're supposed to be disadvantaged against lethality AD carries in the early game. So Stixay, because of his big early game lead, is kind of circumventing a lot of his weak spot, right? He's going to be quickly to that Infinity Edge plus Hurricane combo where you really start to get strong because you have the crit multipliers, your auto attacks get very big. They are starting to control the lanes, and Darshan pushes out top, moves to mid, and they're going to look to finish off the turret. They should get it here.
Pressure on the bot lane by 2 as well. They could just choose to slide right down there. Stixay backing up. Nice. I think Stixay's going for a quick ward clear, saying we don't want teleports behind us. However, they don't know about a few more. So it looks like the team's slowly putting their vision down, keeping it for the advantage of who he shock blasts, and allowing him to just farm the other lane. CLG controlling very nicely here. Just 17 minutes into the game. They're looking at second-tier turrets on the side of Immortals.
Flame going straight towards that Zonia does not actually complete the Leandries. This is a pretty aggressive build. It is something where you can kind of flash in there with the overheated Flame Splitters, pop that Zonia, try to get the big damage down. And he's looking.
Oh, alpha move. Almost gets walked out of that one on the equalizer. It's really just kind of, this is our space. Usually that ultimate's for the engage, but they're just trying to gain some room for themselves here.
Afro has no flash though.
Ooh, wish down. They're actually going to bait this one back in. That gives Huhi room. Hits him back. Percent damage. Then goes to Xfinity as he flashes the bola forward. Quick fingers by Pobelter to get himself out.
Yeah, trade of flashes there. They do get the kill though. Darshan fails his flash. Oh no.
It happens.
A little bit unlucky, but they're still going to get the turret.
Sandbox. That's why we have that now. Turret's going to go down, but quick movements here. Ole getting caught up. Volley is going to follow through, but it's Huhi that picks himself up the kill. Actually, first one of the game for him as he's been doing a lot of damage work. Finally gets a result on that damage.
Ole had no business sticking around there. The jungler's already dead. The rest of his team's already backing off. Here is the original play. Dardoch wants the assassination on Afro move because he knows he is flashless, but Huhi is ready here, and the wish keeps Afro alive. He can go in aggressive. Smithy's already collapsing. Darshan's already TPing. You can see how much faster CLG is responding to the play. Flame never even using his TP whatsoever. That was not even close. Come on, Darshan. Either way, Ole gifts it right back as he comes back up. Notice the rest of his team is already backed off. What are you doing positioning here? Nice. You did about 50 damage. Too bad you died for it.
It looked cool.
It looked cool.
It's about...
good skin.
Wasn't it kind of about the thought that counts? Remember that before?
Thought does not count.
Oh, that's right. That's what you said.
Thought does not count in League of Legends. It's the result, and the result was him beating Riv.
It is happening. 2 kills on Dardoch, 2 kills on Ole. Dardoch can't seem to get what he needs. Still getting a bit of power, and we saw that damage onto Afromu. But Afromu is now toying with these guys with those wishes and being able to heal himself. They're just setups for Huhi and Xmithy.
Yeah.
Wards are pushed forward, though. Immortals has some room to play with.
They're all looking.
Do they, though? Xmithy gets hit up, W down. He realizes he can't get out too quick. Welcome Mat goes down for CLG. Dardoch's trying to enter through as well. Good volleys back are going to keep them safe and just out of the range of Curtain Call. They've split on this turret 4 and 2 without any minions coming in. They're going to go deep on this one. Pobelter gets hit. Ash Arrow to the chin and he goes down. It is Afro that finally falls. Dardoch in turret ranges. Darshan keeps him there. And Ale is going to get hit up. Double kill now for Stixay. They won't chase Cody. They probably won't catch Flame on the scrap shield. But like you said, Immortals did not make it out happy.
They certainly didn't, and I think Flame should be able to get out here. That was a greedy play from CLG, going aggressive without the TP from Darshan. They were at a TP disadvantage.
Yep.
Still, they go 3 for 2 as they are very far ahead. And Immortals, you can see they're feeling the pressure. They're trying to force a play on the bot side because they feel like they're too far behind, and they felt like they had to get something done. You know, their advantages really lie just in the farm for a Flame. He has prioritized staying in lane and getting that CS advantage, but he's never been able to actually turn it into anything. And if you can't convert that into something for your team, then the roaming that Darshan has done is way more valuable. And
see this fight again here and how CLG turns it around.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely way too aggressive from Smithy. They don't have TP. Rumble was already TPing in when he goes in. But then this dive, yes, it's a 5 versus 3, but you know Darshan is roaming down. They're all still pretty healthy. Ultimates are available for CLG, so they can turn this around quite well, and they are able to commit. I really like this play from Huhi, actually using the Q and the flash to go from one side of the fight to the other, escape the danger, as well as getting the damage in to kill off Pobelter. So that was very well played by Huhi on the back end of that fight, but a little too hypey from Smithy to start things off.
So, jockeying for position now. Looks like Immortals knows they are in the fog of war if they stay in this side of the jungle. They're not too sure about what happens once they get into the river. So, forced to back off. Counter Logic Gaming can take a better position here to actually just take an entry to the fight instead of a back and forth. This should get hit up pretty quick. Immortals slowly stepping in. Control ward goes down. Looks like Darshan's just gonna try to beat shield. Good divide by Immortals. That's Xmithy grabbing it. Shockwave only onto Darshan. CLG separating nicely. It looks like they're just gonna kind of leave him out to dry. Huge damage from Hugi. Do they decide to go back in? That would have been a very big to the skies on 3 members, but dangerous in melee form if you're Jace.
They're coming around. Smithy is on the side. Flame is low.
It's a slow roll from Xmithy. He's keeping it very quiet. Didn't come in fast. Quickly takes out Flame on that one. And Immortals is trying to get out without losing any more members. Stixay doing what he can to push the lane down. And they're all dancing Immortals so they can't get in more than they are trying to fight. Obviously, Xmithy going down. Hugi finally takes to it. And that has pulled Stixay over. So mid pressure's off. But Immortals is just getting toyed with right now.
Very explosive fight, though. Lasting quite a while there. Ends up being the Dragon and 1 kill for CLG, 2 kills for Immortals. So they do go a little bit gold positive, but the stat weight on that Dragon is certainly worthwhile here. And CLG able to pick up the Dragon. And then they really just kind of have to back off. Darshan took so much initial damage there. The Jhin ult plus that Rumble ult, very effective. But the fact that they didn't actually hit any of the big damage dealers means CLG can still hang around, still look for fight here. As they are able to poke people out, they're able to find Flame, kind of split off from the team, as Immortals did not do a good job sticking together. They should have been able to walk out of this fight as a 5-man squad, scot-free there. But they get split up, they get picked off. And then Dardoch wants to be able to pick up this kill. Smithy's sectioned off, he goes down, so pretty close fight. Also interesting to note that Stixay actually went for Essence Reaver instead of IE first. Generally speaking, when people complete the Hurricane before their BF sort of item, they are going for IE because Essence Reaver in and of itself is pretty cost effective. So people generally would grab the Essence Reaver first if they are going that. So a little bit of a swap up in the build. Still now Stixay will be building towards the IE as that 3rd item, and that 3-item power spike for him is going to be pretty massive as he'll have a lot of crit. He already is picking up a lot of CDR, and this is going to be a pretty beast Ashe in these team fights if he doesn't get taken out right off the bat.
Well, luckily they do have the Rengar on their side. Dardoch's been having a hard time finding that 0 out damage. And especially with Aphromoo now, he can just get the heals that he needs, even if he's not in range, he wishes. Also, Edge of Nights coming out for Xmithy and Hugi. A little more safety in their dangerous plays. As we've seen Xmithy, actually, the changes affecting the Rengar, going down quite a bit more on those engages than usual.
Certainly is, but they're looking for it.
Good flash. Oh, pie to the face for Dardoch. Does he go down? Yes, he does. A good stick in by the Equinox from Aphromoo, and he cannot get out.
Yeah, that Ashe Soraka combo is very powerful. If you land the Ashe ultimate, you will get silence rooted. And now CLG are threatening onto the Baron with the jungler down. They're going to start it up. They can look to turn and fight if Immortals comes in. And Hugi is on the side, poking out Pobelter and Flame.
Nice hawk shot. Shouldn't be a problem. Obviously, no smite fight. The Equalizer could do a bit of damage. He lays it on the outside, separating the back from the front. Actually very nice, but the team can't get in. Pobelter, sombreros, the shockwave as it comes back to him a little too early.
They're back on the Baron, it's at 1500.
And they're trying to go. Xmithy very low as he goes into it. Gets the team to come back in. He draws Pobelter. He's going in as Darshan flies over the wall. There's a shock blast. The gate coming up. He's waiting on the cooldown, unfortunately. They won't be able to catch Cody's son, but CLG come up big on that Baron.
CLG just got everything. The fact that they're able to do the Baron in the face of their opponents with this Soraka, healing them back up from that damage, not allowing Smithy to go down in that fight, and now they get the Baron, they get 3 kills. This is going to be an inhibitor, and honestly, this could be so much going the way of CLG. They're just astronomically ahead.
25 minutes into the game. First inhibitor turret goes down. Minion waves behind them with a Baron up. Captive audience slowing them down just a little bit. 3 seconds, 2 seconds on the rest of the members. A full fight from Immortals coming out, but ultimates are down, so they know they're only going with QW and E. And they are going to go hard and go for broke. Flame is in the front. Equinox locks him up. Darshan's there to still be the meat shield. On to Pobelter now. Ranger's focus is on, and Stixay has focused a 7-0-4 game with the help of his team in the early. And now Dardoch goes down in the fountain. Ole can't even find solace or safety as he yells, Ali, Ali, Oxenfree. Stixay chases into laser range. And they're going to be on the Nexus turret. 26 onto the Nexus, 17-5. CLG dismantle Immortals in game 1.
How is that for a dominant game 1 from CLG? Closing that out ridiculously fast. Not even 26 minutes in. I mean, they snowballed that game so hard. The whole team looked good, but a lot of credit has to go to Darshan. I actually think he played incredibly well this game. His TPs were on point. He was always there for the team with the initiations, and he was the one that was able to snowball them to both the first 2 turrets, to the massive bot lane lead, and he, for me, dominated this game, even if it wasn't in the most flashy way.
And it makes the other people look good. 7-0-5 Stixxay obviously carrying through the game, but you're right. Darshan, early game, stepped up, played strong, knew he was behind in CS at Flame, and it obviously is not going to matter. You're Nautilus. You need to be up in the front for your team, and he made the plays that allowed him to get that goal to happen.
Exactly.
That's the way we used to see CLG play, is around the map.
And he let his star shine, right? So it's a 5-1-5 Jace, it's 7-0-5 on the Ashe. Those are incredible score lines, but they're enabled by the fact that Darshan got them that leads. And, you know, those guys played really well too, but very, very impressed with CLG's play across the board here. Smithy didn't have to do much this game, involved in 4 out of the 17 kills. Not often you see a jungler involved in so little.
Yeah.
But, I mean, his team looked great. He smited the bear, and what else did he have to do, right?
That's the win. That's the W right there. For more on that game 1, let's send it down to our analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Riv. CLG dominant victory there over Immortals in game 1 of the series. Before we get to the gameplay elements, let's take a look at Champion Select, because as we have the new patch, let's kind of see how the teams are changing up priority here. We've got our first Soraka pick this year in the North American LCS. You called Jace Flexes. Well, guess what happens? Jace Flex here along with the Nautilus for CLG, and it works out quite well for him.
I really want to point out the Soraka bot. I think right now Immortals bot lane gets away with a lot of like really strange support picks, but their laning isn't like super stellar. I think you can get away with a greedy support pick or a support pick that really tries to punish that and does really, really well against team comps in general. Like Soraka tends to be able to do really well into poke comps, and in the neutral game right now, the ADs are constantly poking out the other team. And so Soraka negates a lot of what teams mid-game are using to get advantages.
And of course, we saw success there in the bot lane. Immediately already had an advantage just in the 2v2 before, of course, a whole lot of craziness and visitation from the other lanes. But Stixxay and Aphromoo, this was what we expected them to do coming into the split. They were supposed to be one of the better bot lanes. All right, finally, we're seeing a little bit of performance out of them.
Right, well, Stixxay's actually had some of the best CS differential stats at 10 for most of the season, and the big problem with them was that they couldn't convert that into actual tangible leads in the game because Afro tended to do kind of like random death stuff where he would try and annoy the other team's bases and then get caught out trying to interrupt their recalls and things like that. So they always had the kind of consistent leads, but they couldn't convert it into like the turrets down. Let's start moving around the map. And I think this is one of the first games that they were able to do so, but kind of also off the back of Dardoch.
Soraka play style kind of forced him to play it a little bit more back. Can't play as aggressively.
No, did you run in there and throw those cues?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
No, but of course, you know, that's all one thing. We can't ignore the fact that there was a 2.5K gold lead at 6 minutes here for CLG. And so let's dive into how exactly that came to be. Scar, let's look at the jungle pathing here from Dardoch. He's an aggressive player, and that can both help you or hurt you as a team when you've got a player like him.
Oh, and this is definitely something that Dardoch would do every single time. He trades flash for flash here. He knows if like, Smithy's late, then he gets a free kill. But what happens is not having flash in his bot lane position means that usually a low CC lane, he can just get out if the top lane TPs. But he got exhausted, couldn't get out, and this caused the huge snowball for CLG.
Right, I mean, they get the TP in first, the wave was pushing away, so the TP can come in from behind. Like you said, no flash out of Dardoch means it's pretty easy for CLG to turn in some kills. And then this is just some of the problems that we see out of Immortals bot lane where they overstay, there's a big wave coming in, they want to try and defend it, and then Ole just is going to get caught out of nowhere, and it's going to turn into this totally horrible play where Code is going to die.
They had the right idea there for a moment, but they come back in here to almost defend on the next wave. So they get baited back in as the turret's low health. We'll see a hook land from Darshan, and this is where that 2.5K gold lead really opens up.
Right, and it's off this that they're able to turn a lot of kills. Really nice job trading turret aggro here in terms of Stixxay grabs it now, he backs off, he's going to tank it, letting Darshan get the final hits. Great play overall, and then the snowball really did explode from there. It took a little bit of time after that first kill, but then once around the 15-minute mark, they started making more and more advantages, and a lot of that did come around from grouping up, and Huhi had actually a decent game as well.
Yeah, I think
damage numbers there.
I think Huhi played really poorly early, got solo killed. I think aside from that play though, not even looking at his kills, his actual like poke in the mid game, he was able to like allowed them to siege just by himself. He had really important poke mid lane on Pobelter, on Dardoch, and then on Cody. And so by poking them down, they're able to get the first mid tier 1 pretty easily.
Right. The only blemish for in this game for Huhi was that early solo death to in the mid lane. But beyond that, he did play fantastically. You saw there top the damage charts by far and away there for Jace. Player of the game, though, actually going to Darshan this time around for that TP play in particular, right? If the TP doesn't come in, you don't punish Dardoch for that lack of flash, and you don't create that 2.5K gold lead.
Yeah, and he also sniped out Ole a couple times underneath turrets with the dredge lines as well. We saw one in that replay. There's another one after a fight that started around Dragon, ends up under the mid-inner turret, and then he snipes out Ole again. So Darshan was able to take small advantages that CLG was building and make them huge.
All right, now let me ask you a question, and this is going to be kind of a hard-hitting question here. This Immortals roster, I think most people will look at it position by position and say, straight downgrade from the previous Immortals roster, right? That was a star-studded roster with Huni, Rainover, Pobelter, Wild Turtle, Adrian, and that this one is objectively worse. My question to you then, as analysts, is how does this team need to adjust their playstyle to find similar success, but with less individually skilled players? Because I see them making some plays that to me feel reminiscent of the old Immortals. Very aggressive because we think we can outplay this and we know we're the better players. That might not be the case anymore, so I feel like the playstyle needs to adjust to match that. Where do they find the answer?
For me, I actually think it's a lot of Dardoch. When you look at Team Liquid last year, when they were playing with him, a lot of them said they were kind of like Immortals then too, because they have this kind of go button, but Dardoch doesn't know when to take his foot off the gas. And I think it's a somewhat similar situation now that he is on Immortals, where he wants to keep going and making plays, and that's often where the deaths come from. We saw in this game, he tried to make an aggressive move onto Afromu. Afro flashes out, he collapses on him, and it starts another fight that goes bad for Immortals. So I think a lot of it comes down to the mentality of Dardoch and the way he plays the game.
Yeah, I think they're still trying to find their identity. And a lot of times you'll look at teams, you'll be like, oh, this is an aggressive team. They like to work from their jungler. They do this, their bot lane follows them through. And right now, when you look at Immortals, you're like, well, their bot lane does stuff. Like, they sometimes picks weird stuff. The only consistent thing is, like, Flame works somewhat well with Dardoch, and Dardoch is always aggressive. And that's the only thing you can say about the team. And it's week 5 already in the LCS. They needed to find their identity like week 2.
Right.
And so it's a real struggle for them going upwards from here.
Struggling to craft the wins, but of course they still have an opportunity here in game 2 rather. When we return, we'll see if Immortals can bring us to a third game. Stay with us. Their second match against CLG comes right after the break.
Ooh, you gotta be careful there, bud. Did he? Damage. He's got flash. He might just be dead.
He went for an all-in, thinking the Mono would be perfect. Oh, it's gonna be Pobelter. One more shot. Siege minion. They're gonna go deep on this one. Pobelter gets hit. Ass arrow to the chin, and he goes down. It is Afternoon that finally falls. Dardoch in turret ranges. Darshan keeps it there. And Ale is gonna get hit up. Double kill now for Stixxay. They want Smitty very low as he goes into it. Gets the team to come back in. He draws Pobelter. He's going in as Darshan flies over the wall.